So, would it interest you, would you find it helpful to be able to find quiet and peace inside, no matter what is going on outside? I see a lot of you shaking your heads. Can I get a yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, on my way to the message today, I ran across this wonderful quote by Ram Dass. I don't want to adjust this. Right. And Ram Dass said, "Everything is as it should be. I say that because I have surrendered to the One. The One makes this moment perfectly fulfilled. And I am quiet and peaceful inside." Yeah. So when I surrender to the One, to my divine nature that we call by many names, whether we call it God or the Christ within or Buddha nature or Yahweh consciousness, no matter what name we give it, it's our divinity. And so when I and when you surrender not to a problem, not to what's going on out there, we don't surrender to it, we surrender it to what I like to call my divine nature. You know, I was thinking about this morning again as I was walking Paloma and Macondo, and I realized that, you know, I had to take Macondo to the vet on Saturday to get some stitches removed from having his 18 teeth pulled a few weeks ago. And I had to surrender him to the vet, okay? Because the vet has skills I don't have, has wisdom and knowledge that I don't have. And so I had to surrender Macondo to her. I had to surrender both of them to the groomer on Friday, because trust me, the groomer has skills I do not have. and so that's and you know, that's happened to all of us, whether you have pets or whether you have children. You've had the times that you've had to surrender your child to somebody who had expertise that you didn't have. So we've all had that experience, surrendering to another person, right? But there's some things we can't surrender to another person. And the human condition becomes that we try to figure it out ourselves, right? Can't ask anybody else, we gotta figure it out. It takes a lot of effort. Sometimes wailing and gnashing of our teeth. We have some resistance to letting go of control if we don't feel like we know what the answer is. So that's the human condition. But the spiritual solution is the simple way we set it for how many years is what? Let go and let go. Let go. Let go of my trying to figure things out through my humanity alone. Because we are not, and I've said this so many times, we are not only human. You know, our essence is divine. And that divine nature of you and me has expertise you and I do not have. It knows things that we don't know of our human self. And so when I and when you can turn over a problem, a challenge, a situation, maybe it's not a problem, maybe it's just a goal, and you know, or some kind of aspiration that we have, when we can turn that over to our divine nature, wow, we have access to infinite ideas, infinite ways of how to do what needs to be done that our human mind is capable of receiving, but not necessarily in its chatter capable of getting so much clarity on. You know, so that's why I say that when I surrender, you know, that, and hopefully this message will support you in surrendering to the flow of life, to grace, because the answer is there. One of my colleagues used to say, don't tell God about your big problem. Tell your problem about your big God. Okay? That's the answer. And that's what surrendering is all about. A number of years ago, we studied a book called The Untethered Soul, and we did it for our Ventures in Faith series. And I was looking back over it the other day, and I saw the statement. He says that we free ourselves by not trying to figure out life from our human self, but by surrendering to God's guidance. We free ourselves. Anybody here not want to be free? You know? I'm a 12-step person. I shared with you last week that I quit drinking. And I celebrated 21 years without alcohol. The best 21 years of my life. And in 12-step programs, we work the 12 steps. And there's a statement in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous that says that people who fail are people who fail to be rigorously honest, for one thing, but people who fail, they look for an easier and softer way. Okay? Well, it took me a number of years, but I finally realized that 12 steps are the easier and softer way. They're a lot easier. They're a lot easier for my physical health. I've got a mental clarity that, I just didn't have back then. Doing the steps, working with a sponsor, really is the easier, softer way. And when I picked up my chip, week before last, I shared that, the question that we were asked to address was, how is the program working for you? And I realized that the program was working me. I wasn't working the program. The program was working me. And that's what humble surrender. That's what happens when we humbly surrender. Certainly in the 12 steps, the first step is about surrender. That I admitted that I was powerless over alcohol and that my life had become unmanageable because of what the effects of alcohol did on my sparkling personality. Okay? I thought it was great. People around me had to put up with it. But anyway, and then, the second step is we came to believe that a power greater than me could restore me to sanity. Well, guess what? That's our divine nature. It's not a God out there. So I surrender, in that first step, my humanity. I surrender. I'm powerless of my human self. I am powerless. But there's a power greater than me that is my divine nature that can restore me to sanity. And if you don't think you're insane about some aspect of your life, whether it's a problem with a substance or whatever, or whether it's a problem in a relationship or financially or whatever, look at how the effect of worrying about that and how insane they make your life. So first two steps are I can't, God can. And the third step is turning our will and our life over to the care of God as we understand God. And seeking only for knowledge of His will and the power to carry it out, or something like that. Anyway, so that becomes I can't, God can, I think I'll let God. And that's what humble surrender is all about. It's about saying, I can take it so far in my humanity, but then I've got to turn it over to a wisdom that is so much greater than my intellect, so much greater than my ego, than my personality. And then when I do that, I put myself in the flow of grace. And answers come to me that I think, wow, what a novel idea. You know, gee, I hadn't thought of doing that. And it might not come to me that moment. It might be, you know, an hour later, a day later, a week later, who knows? But suddenly, with effortless ease, grace, and joy, I know what to do. I know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and as my favorite part, when to keep my mouth shut. You know, that's what humble surrender does. When Rama, who now goes by Joshua Ignacio, was speaking a few weeks ago, he said a statement, and I wrote it down as best I could grasp it, and I may not have it exactly right, but he said, when we step into humble surrender, he loved it when he saw our core value of humble surrender. He said, when we step into humble surrender, I believe he said, we give God permission to breathe our purpose. That's what I heard. I don't know exactly what he said, but that's what I heard and wrote down. That when we step into humble surrender, we give God permission to breathe our purpose. We get out of the way. So I kind of rewrote it and I said, when we step into humble surrender, we make space for faith to shape substance into whatever it is we desire. Because that's what we talk about in unity. We say that faith shapes substance. And substance in unity means that invisibleness, that invisible energy or whatever that forms everything. That everything comes out of what Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, called substance. And we say in unity that faith shapes substance. So what do we have faith in? You know, do I really want my personality and my ego to shape substance in my life? Or do I want my divine nature to shape substance and bring into manifestation, into physicality, into my life, whatever it is that I truly desire, which I may not even have known what that was. You know, it's the old standard, you know, someone prays for the certain person to be their soulmate or whatever, and they get them, right? Then years later they're praying to get them out of their life or whatever, you know? So sometimes my ego really doesn't know what my highest good is, you know, but it's very attached to being in control. So I just wanted to ask you, you know, sometimes after service on Sunday, someone will come up to me and say, oh, I had this great thing, this great quote that would apply to your message today. And I think, oh, I wish I had known that. So does anybody have anything that's popping up for them about surrender? Do you have like a situation where you surrendered and really it was such a blessing that you would want to share? Yes, Christine.
Well, some of you know I'm going
Can you come up here because we're taping and we need to be able to at least capture you your audio, if not the video.
Well, some of you know I'm going through changes now because I have to leave. This is my last day here. And I have to go back to Houston. Popped up all of a sudden. So I was like thoroughly depressed and sad and angry and everything you can go through because I felt like I lived in paradise here. And so last night, I woke up this morning and I realized it's facing my fears. You know, I've got clutter I have to face. I have fear I have to face. I have failure that I have to face that's in my garage and everywhere else. And it was like once recognizing that and seeing what it is, I'm now surrendering to it, and I'm finally happy because I didn't want to go with this long face like I hate my family, you know. That wasn't the whole issue, so I'm at least, thank God, today feeling good, and that I just surrendered to what's going on.
Okay, so I gotta correct you. Did you hear that teachable moment? You're not surrendering to it. You're surrendering it to that wisdom that is within you. Yeah, that will get you through, and I see you absolutely going through that clutter and everything with effortless ease, grace, and joy.
Please, yes.
Yes, just this really slip of the tongue that, you know, sometimes we don't hear ourselves say, and how wonderful to be able to have someone that loves us and says, hey, you know, let me ask you to reframe that a little bit. And that makes, it's like when somebody says, I'm just dying to do such and such, and I go, could you just live to do it instead, you know? It's like those little things that are important. So, does anybody have a question? Anything that you'd like me to address regarding this topic of surrender before we bring it to a close in the next few moments? Yes? We have the microphone runner. All right, look at there.
This is Bella Claire.
Okay, this is Bella Claire.
Well, hi, folks. Gosh, I am a little startled. I'm up here, but I'm going to do this because I do it. My name is Treva Jenkins. I'm here with my partner, Jewel Rasticus. We're traveling from Dayton, Ohio with our two girls. We have Bella Claire and Gracie Ann, who are adopted service dogs. And we're camping at the KOA in Santa Fe.
Afterwards, we talked.
Great. So we're here because we're trying to build a home here. And it has been the most anxiety-producing thing ever. It's been very stressful, honestly. And we have been, you know, I came out a month ago and we're speed dating, you know, architects and design build firms and contractors and Bella. and trying to make good decisions and trying to look at the cost difference from coming from the Midwest to moving out to Santa Fe. And we have a joke that a friend of ours told us. He said, you know how to be a millionaire in Santa Fe, don't you? And we said, God, please tell. And he said, well, you start out with 2. You know? So that has really become our, like, we're starting to get that, you know? So we came back to town for the Parade of Homes, and whoa, that's been that's been interesting. And we still have a few homes we want to see today, and we still have lots of decisions to make and lots of choices, and it's just, I've got a grip on it. I've got a grip on things, and I need to let go and just trust that what's gonna, this is, yeah.
This is total surrender. It's laying on her back, totally spreading her. This is surrender. Thank you so much.
And lessons from the dog. So I will tell you, this position, I call it, this is her PBT position because this is called the pink belly treatment. So that's what she's doing. She's ready for a PBT.
That's right.
So
Aren't we all?
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. We attend Church Unity of Dayton in Dayton, Ohio. So we decided this morning this would be a great place to be. And it is. Thanks very much.
And I just celebrate that, you know, in that total surrender, that you have access to this divine wisdom within you, your divine nature, that is, you know, bringing forth ideas because it's got the space to do so. Because you stop thinking, you know, Unity Santa Fe, my goal at Unity Santa Fe is to be the first no-thought church in the New Thought movement. That's my invitation. Okay, so in summary, that, you know, basically we have this opportunity, and the only thing we have to do is make a choice. We have to make the choice to choose to surrender whatever it is to our divinity, to our divine nature. And as we do that, then we have that experience to experience what Ram Dass talked about, was that quiet, that peacefulness inside, right in the midst of the storm. That's what the eye of the storm is, right? And so I celebrate that each one of us has the wisdom to do that, to catch ourselves when we're in that, angst or that efforting and all that, and to just stop. Just stop. As Bob Newhart says, haven't you seen it? Stop it! Stop it! If you haven't seen that on YouTube, Google Bob Newhart, stop it. We have an opportunity to choose to stop it and to turn within to our divine nature, the wisdom that is always there for us, 24/7, no matter what. And then, of course, we have to do two more things, right? We got to do that, but then we got to take action. We've got to put feet on whatever guidance we receive. And we've got to practice patience until that guidance comes. And so let's begin doing that right now in the sacred time of shared prayer. And so I invite us to become fully present to this moment. And just become aware of the breath, which is evidence of the very life that is living us, breathing us, supporting, nourishing, and inspiring us. And just let come to mind without effort anything that is a challenge for you, or maybe just a question for you, a problem, a decision that needs to be made. And just acknowledge it is showing up as a divine appointment. And you might even become aware of what thoughts you have about it. Let a couple of those thoughts come to mind. So give the monkey mind something to do. Maybe even be aware of what feelings you have about it, what emotions it might stir up. And just welcome it all. As Father Keating says, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're not pushing it away, we're not resisting it, because we know what we resist persists, but we just accept that it's showing up. And so we welcome it into our hearts as if it were a visitor stopping by for a cup of tea. Not to move in, but to just have a cup of tea. And I invite you to even stretch yourself to give thanks in advance. That because it has shown up, there is an answer to it. There is a solution. There is a remedy. And even though we may not know what that is specifically, we can just know that that's the law. For every problem, there is a solution. For every goal, there is an accomplishment of that goal. And so we thank it for this opportunity to bless us. And then I want you to just imagine that an altar in your heart. And just take this situation, whatever it might be, this person, this goal, this decision that needs to be made, this problem, whatever it is, and just imagine placing it on the altar. Sometimes together with the thing and all the thoughts and emotions and feelings that come with it, it's like a gunny sack, you know. Just fill it up and put it on the altar. Knowing that metaphorically, it's just a way of symbolically giving it to God, your divine nature, the very love that you are made in the image and likeness of, that I am made in the image and likeness of. And when you're ready, just feel yourself stepping back empty-handed from this altar, leaving that situation, the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions about it, leaving it on the altar. And feel the relief. Feel the relief that you have surrendered it to the one. To the one that not only knows all, to the one that is all, that is always present, that is all powerful. And feel the relief that you've done your part. You've chosen. You've chosen to surrender this to your divine nature. And I invite you to know with me what I know. And that is that this love, this divinity, that is your true essence, knows exactly what to do for your highest good, for the highest good of anyone else involved. And that this divine nature is right now revealing to you what is yours of your human self to do. This one is revealing it, even if we haven't quite heard it yet, or we haven't quite caught it. It's out there. It's in the ethers. And I invite us to listen for it in the sacred time of silence. And as we gently bring our attention back to this time and place, I invite you not to only say thank you, but to feel gratitude. Allow it to fill your heart to overflow in advance. That your divine nature is right now revealing to you what needs to be revealed, healing what needs to be healed, and feeling gratitude that you have the wisdom to listen, to be quiet, to feel peaceful, so that faith can shape that substance beyond your wildest dreams. I give thanks that it is so. I say thank you, thank you, thank you, divine nature, that I am, that it is so and so it is.